The tale commences with a youngster named Vasily who arrived to partake in a hunting excursion with his elder. In this scenario, the elder utilizes his steed for the hunt and secures it to serve as a lure. Next, he instructs Vasily that we ought to remain as motionless as stone until the quarry gets ensnared in our trap. Shortly thereafter, they catch sight of a wolf coming to pounce on their stallion. As the wolf draws closer to the steed, the elder prompts Vasily to take aim and fire. Displaying courage, Vasily successfully strikes the wolf. Little does Vasily know that this event would profoundly alter his existence. Subsequently, the narrative transitions to the year 1942, marking a period when the entire globe was grappling with the horrors of the Second World War. During this World War, the German army had conquered all of Europe, and then they began to advance towards the oil-rich lands of Asia through the Soviet Union. But to stop them, the Red Army of Russia gets stationed in a city named Stalingrad and starts to halt the German army's advance. However, the German army attacks this city, killing many Russian soldiers. Therefore, a backup force is sent to assist the Red Army. Then we see this backup force on a train. Vasily was also there, who had now become a proficient sniper. Well, the Russian army was evacuating civilians from the Stalingrad city to clear it out so that more Russian soldiers could be held in the city. Once the Russian backup corps reaches Stalingrad, they are taken on a boat. Actually, the Red Army was taking them by boat to the front line where the battle was ongoing. When the backup force sees the battlefield, they realize that the German army has completely overpowered them and they have been sent on a suicidal mission. So some soldiers try to escape from the boat. Seeing them running, their comrades shoot them and kill them. Taking advantage of this, the German army opened fire on them, injuring several Russian soldiers. But somehow, his boat reaches Dog, where the remaining soldiers are immediately divided into pairs, and only one of those two soldiers is given a rifle, while the other is given the task of helping his partner by giving them bullets. Here, he receives merely a handful of bids and is requested to assist his colleagues. Shortly after their arrival on the terrain, they come under assault from the German forces. Vasily manages to elude capture and begins to seek refuge. It's at this point a few of the troops sense the war might not end in their favor. Hence, several make an attempt to retreat from the combat zone, yet deserters are executed by their own. Meanwhile, the battleground becomes strewn with the fallen bodies of Russian servicemen. Later, a car comes into the field and collides with a tank. In fact, this car belongs to a commissar of the Russian army, Daniel Off, who jumps out of it to save his life. His enemies were present all around here, so he pretends to die and hides himself among the corpses. Then the Germans arrive and start shooting indiscriminately at the corpses to kill the survivors. Then Denim holds his breath and somehow escapes his enemies. The Germans are a bit far from it. Danilov then picks up the rifles of his dead soldiers and starts shooting at the German soldiers. On the other hand, we see Recovery, who is pretending to die like Daniel Off, and when he realizes that his rifle is missing, he comes close to Daniel Off. Here, Daniel Off sees that there are no bullets in the rifle. Vasily then hands over his share of bullets to the commissioner and tells him that even when there is a blast here, you have to fire bullets. So that no one can pinpoint our position, Daniel, who is not adept with a rifle, passes it to Vasily. Shortly after, another vehicle pulls up, setting off an explosion which provides Vasily an opportunity to eliminate the German sharpshooters. Admiring Vasily's marksmanship, Daniel takes note of his courage once he's back at command, leading to a report on his valor that's circulated widely. During this period, the Red Army Command notices a decline in their defenses as the troops appear less willing to lay down their lives for the nation, diminishing the military's potency. As a result, Chairman Nikita thinks about overhauling their military strategy, and in a committee session, he prompts the higher-ranking officers to propose methods to bolster the army. Daniel proposes boosting the soldiers' morale by creating a national hero who could serve as their inspiration. In response, Nikita inquires whether Daniel knows any soldier who could rise as a hero for the Red Army. After Daniel brings up Vasily and his remarkable deeds, Nikita is taken aback and commands that the tale be dispersed through all media channels. Vasily's exceptional prowess earns him a placement in the sniper unit. His renown flourishes, casting him as the embodiment of the Russian military hero, the epitome that every new conscript aspires to match. As the conflict endures, Vasily's successful engagements with the Germans contribute to their eventual defeat. Consequently, the Germans call upon Major Koenig, a renowned sharpshooter, to target and eliminate Vasily. Elsewhere, amid a covert operation, Vasily crosses paths with a young lad named Sasha. Sasha mentions to Vasily that he's an ardent admirer and wishes to emulate him, extending an invitation to his dwelling. Vasily accepts the invite. At Sasha's home, Vasily makes the acquaintance of Sasha's mother, Mrs. Filipov, and there he receives his fans' correspondence from someone. You should respond to your fans, so Vasily begins to write letters to answer his fans. A bit later, a girl named Tanya, who is a soldier and considers Mrs. Filipov as her family, arrives. Vasily tells her that he saw her on the train when he was going to give away the Stalin card. Tanya replies that she doesn't recognize him personally, but she knows him from the papers and therefore recognizes him. Here, both Daniel and Vasily grow fond of Tanya, and they start taking an interest in her. Daniel then finds out that Tanya knows German and offers her a job at the headquarters so that she can understand and help with the German communications. However, Tanya doesn't want to take the job. Daniel convinces her that by accepting it, she could save many soldiers' lives. Tanya agrees to take the job. The next day, Vasily is assigned to an old department store because a German sniper was causing trouble for their army. Upon Vasily's arrival, he detects a silhouette by the window and fires, neutralizing the sniper. His peers are once again awestruck by Vasily's sharpshooting prowess. Subsequently, Vasily and an ally set out to collect the fallen sniper's identification, enlisting a fellow soldier for backup. Abruptly, a German marksman fires, striking down the soldier backing Vasily, which reveals to Vasily that the silhouette he had targeted was not in fact a sniper, but a deceit by the German marksman to draw them into an ambush. Actually, it was the German sniper Koenig, who had just been brought in to kill Vasily. Meanwhile, the German army's planes began dropping bombs on the buildings, causing Vasily's companion to panic and think about fleeing. Vasily tries to calm him, but he doesn't listen and runs away, which allows Koenig to spot and shoot him dead. Where he meets a boy named Sacha, whom Koenig has cleaned his boots, and in return, Sacha gives information about Vasily in exchange for food. On the other side, Vasily meets Danilov, who informs him about the new German sniper. Danilov tells him that the sniper's name is Koenig and he is the best sniper in the German army. It is then Danilov introduces Vasily to a sniper named Kulikov, who had learned shooting from Koenig and knew him well. Here, Danilov tells Vasily that from now on, Kulikov will stay with him. The next day, Vasily, Polikov, and a soldier named Volodya enter an old building and start killing the German soldiers. But soon they realize they have fallen into a German trap and start looking for a safe place. As the enemy fires at them, they manage to reach a safe location and begin to monitor the Germans. As the night descends, the three prepare themselves. Vasily then remembers that he forgot his soup in another room and runs to get it, during which time the Germans arrive and capture Volodya, taking him with them. The Germans interrogate him about Vasily's whereabouts, but he refuses to tell them anything, so they dress him in their uniform and send him out. Seeing the uniform from afar, Vasily believes he is a German soldier and shoots him dead, which inadvertently reveals their position to the Germans. Polikov hoists a helmet atop a staff to locate the Germans, who fire upon it, thus revealing their ambush position. Subsequently, Vasily and his comrades alter their location, which Koenig eventually uncovers. Koenig then takes the opportunity to shoot at him, resulting in his death. Despite many soldiers dying, Nikita Danilov pressures to transfer him back to the army because she didn't want to work at the headquarters. Following this, A grief-stricken Vasily returns to headquarters where Danilov promises to gather more information about Koenig so they can easily take him out. He also tells him that Tanya wants to go to the battlefield, but she is needed at the headquarters, so he must talk to her and convince her. Vasily tries to persuade Tanya, who reveals to him that the Germans killed her parents, which is why she joined the army to take revenge. Vasily understands her words and supports her decision by presenting her with Kolikov's firearm. In the meantime, Koenig rendezvous with Sasha to ascertain Vasily's new sniping spot. Sasha divulges Vasily's position, and the following day, Koenig proceeds there to await Vasily's approach. Navigating through conduits, Vasily and his associate reach the spot, whereupon Koenig promptly targets Vasily, causing the latter's rifle to drop and his associate to sustain an injury. Vasily quickly hides behind a rock and tells his companion to head back to headquarters. Reaching the headquarters, he explains everything to Tanya and Danilov, prompting Tanya to go out to rescue Vasily without a second thought. Here, Vasily continually tries to pull his rifle with the help of a knife and rope, but the corner does not give him any chance to pull the rifle. Just then, the German army planes drop bombs and fly away, causing the entire building to shake and glass shards to scatter everywhere, allowing Koenig to catch a clear glimpse of Vasily in a shard of glass. Meanwhile, Tanya makes her way to the area. Vasily prohibits her approach, and he too begins to observe Koenig through the binoculars. Consequently, he communicates to Tanya about Koenig's presence and instructs her to use a piece of mirror to reflect light. Tanya, utilizing a reflective glass shard, manages to catch Koenig's gaze. As a result, the reflected light beam directly hits Koenig's eyes, temporarily incapacitating his vision. Taking advantage of this moment, Vasily grabs his rifle and shoots Koenig, hitting him in the hand. Hence, Koenig retreats. That evening, Vasily and Tanya celebrate their small victory with their comrades. The next day, Vasily tells Commissar Danilov that he wants to be a regular soldier again, because ever since he became an army hero, there has been too much pressure on him. To which Danilov disagrees and tells him that now they will use Sacha to. Here, we find out that Sacha is acting as a double agent. Well, with Sacha's help, they find out Koenig's location. Vasily is then given his final mission to take out Koenig. Following this, Vasily goes among the corpses lying on the ground and starts pretending to be dead, just as his grandfather had taught him while hunting. He remains concealed, intent on eliminating Koenig, while recalling a childhood memory of going hunting with his grandfather. Nevertheless, Koenig remains absent for an extended period, and as Vasily waits, he is overcome by fatigue and inadvertently dozes off. Subsequently, a German soldier shows up who seizes Vasily's sniper diary and carries it with him. He later presents the sniper diary to his superior, who is convinced that Vasily has perished. As a result, they instruct Koenig to return to his homeland. Yet Koenig was assured that Vasily was still among the living. At the same time, the German command broadcasts the news of Vasily's demise via the speakers, resulting in jubilation among the troops. In the meantime, Koenig informs Sasha of his next location to capture Vasily, knowing that Sasha was a double agent and would surely inform the Russians of his whereabouts. Eventually, when Vasily does not show up at the headquarters for a long time, Danilov also starts to believe that Vasily has died and begins to write about his death in the paper. However, Vasily then emerges, catching everyone off guard. Shortly after, through Sasha, Vasily discovers that Tanya has headed to the station to confront Koenig, leading Vasily and Danilov to urgently set out to save her. They are relieved to find Tanya unharmed, and Tanya, upon seeing Vasily alive, is filled with happiness and embraces him. The two had fallen in love. However, when Danilov finds out, he starts to hate Vasily because he also loved Tanya. Enraged, Danilov forgets all his responsibilities to the army and arrives at the headquarters proclaiming Vasily a traitor. Meanwhile, Koenig also learns that Vasily is alive. He kills Sasha and hangs him. When Tanya sees Sasha dead, she goes to Koenig to avenge his death. Vasily pacifies her and swears to kill Koenig. Then he tells her to get Sasha's mother out of there. Danilov and Tanya do not want to upset Mrs. Sasha by telling her about her son's death. Therefore, they lie to her that Sancha has joined the German army, upon which Mrs. Philipp prays to God that her son always stays safe. From there, Mrs. Filippov is taken out on a boat for evacuation. Then suddenly, a bomb explodes, injuring Tanya and leaving her unconscious. The doctor then reports that there is no hope for her survival. They decide to leave from there, upon which Mrs. Philipp starts crying and tells the army that Tanya is my daughter and I will not go anywhere without her. Therefore, they agree to take Tanya with them. On the other side, Daniel goes to Vasily and informs him of Tanya's death. He also blames himself for Tanya's death, feeling terrible and wanting to end his own life. He confronts Koenig, then Koenig shoots him dead right there. Koenig is under the impression that he has successfully eliminated Vasily, therefore he moves forward with care, aspiring for triumph. Unbeknownst to him, Vasily anticipates his arrival and has already taken aim with his firearm. Resigned to his destiny, Koenig readies himself for the end, at which point Vasily performs the final act, ending his life and solemnly positions his own rifle in the grasp of Koenig. And then he leaves from there. After this, the story takes us 2 months ahead, where Stalingrad city has been liberated from the Germans. Vasily also receives a letter from Tanya stating that she is in the hospital and now well. Therefore, Vasily goes to the hospital to meet Tanya, is overjoyed meeting her, and with this, the amazing movie ends here.